Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure review. Today we're going to jump into the time machine and travel back a couple of years as we take a look at this older Mattel DC Multiverse Black Manta action figure. So this came out some years ago. It was to coincide with the Aquaman live action movie, and we have the DC Multiverse version of Black Manta, Aquaman's arch nemesis. So this figure included a Build-A-Figure piece, and that was, I think, the head to complete the Trench Warrior. But oh man, I think this was my favorite figure in that specific wave of multiverse figures. I love Black Manta. He's one of my favorite DC villains. There's just something really wacky and crazy about him. The fact that he runs around with this giant helmet. I'm a big fan of like scuba gear for some reason, and I really dig this crazy looking like scuba outfit he has. With a crazy backpack. I love the giant red eyes, and it's just a really cool costume design. I like the fact that the helmet kind of masks who he is underneath. So there's a certain amount of anonymity about the character. He's a little bit more mysterious. And the color scheme's great. He's kind of like black and gunmetal. He has a really cool blade coming out of his forearm. The figure came with a sword. It's really nice. I kind of do miss Mattel's take on the multiverse line of action figures. It's awesome that McFarlane has the license now, but there was a certain charm about the Mattel figures. They felt, they're a little bit. They feel a little bit more like toys than the McFarlane stuff. The McFarlane stuff, it really borderlines on more like being a collectible, which I don't have a problem with. For me, that's like my favorite line of action figures right now. But there is something about the older Mattel stuff that I just really miss. So let's get started. So this figure, the Mattel line of DC Multiverse figures, they're kind of in scale with the previously produced DC Classics and DC Universe line of figures that Mattel did for so many years. This is much smaller than a McFarlane figure. This guy comes in at about 6 3/4. The detail on this is, for me, this really astounding. I love this guy so much. He has a beautiful shade of red over the eyes. The gunmetal color on him is really nice. It's nice, reflective. It kind of, has a certain quality to him. And it feels, if you looked at it, it looks a little bit more premium than your average Mattel action figure. I think a lot of care went into this guy. A lot of detail, a lot of hoses, a lot of armor pieces. It's really well done, really well crafted. Even though this is a much older figure, I still think aesthetically it still holds up really well. The articulation scheme is a little bit dated, unfortunately, but it's still a beautiful figure nonetheless. This guy's head rotates. Kind of looks down a little. His arms rotate and they go outward. Bicep cut. Pinless elbows, which is nice, especially considering how old this figure is. He has an ab crunch. You can swivel at the waist. His legs kick outward. He has a thigh cut. His knees bend. Double pinned and pinless also. Like I said, this is a much older figure. I'm not sure how many years ago this thing came out, but it was in one of the later lines, I believe, of the DC Multiverse when Mattel had the license. I think the last movie license property they produced, I think, was for, I want to say Shazam. But it's a great figure. If you could find this figure for a reasonable price, I'd say pull the trigger. I think on the secondary market, this thing could go anywhere between, I think, $40 to $70, brand new, mint in box. But it's like one of my favorite iterations of Black Manta. It's a cool modern take for the character, and the figure is just so wicked looking. It's unfortunate that this is a smaller scale because, I'd love to display this with my McFarlane figures. And I'm really hoping that McFarlane, gives us, their version of this guy. Especially with their modern engineering and the way they like construct the figures and all the texture and the paint application. This is a really beautiful standout piece in my collection. I like this guy so much. It's like one of my favorite Mattel figures. For me, this kind of like, like some people really put Boba Fett on a pedestal. And for me, this kind of feels like the Boba Fett of like the Mattel DC figures. I mean, just look at that. It's a really nice piece. If you're an Aquaman fan, I can't stress that you have this figure in your collection. I can't stress it enough. This is awesome. Aquaman needs like his arch nemesis, and this guy more than fits the bill, especially this iteration of the character. It's so intimidating. Beautiful figure. Now, even though this figure is a couple of years old, for me, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, visually, I think it's perfect. It's a perfect 10. The articulation scheme's a little archaic, but even then, I think for me, it's forgivable. So I think overall, I'd rate this figure an easy 9. For it being one of like Mattel's later releases, during their tenure with the license, I think this was like one of the like really impressive pieces. Considering that they also had that line of action figures called Movie Masters, I kind of feel like this would really feel at home in the Movie Masters line. All right, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.